Today, I want to show you how to fully debone a chicken. One of my favorite hobbies. I know it sounds really sad, but it really isn't. And then we're going to cook the whole chicken under a pizza stone. One of my favorite cooking methods. Here we have a very beautiful corn-fed chicken from France. The first order of business is that we remove the wishbone. You loosen the skin around the top until you can see this inverted V shape. You grab your paring knife, you make the most shallow incision on the inside of the V, and with the back of your knife, you scrape it until you have revealed the bone. You slice in with your fingers and you run your fingers up and down to release the bone from the flesh. You should be able to grab the chicken by the bone. So you release the bone carefully, not to cut yourself. They might break in half. That's one side of the V. That's the other side of the V. Now, once the wishbone has been removed, you make a total of 5 incisions to take the bird off the carcass. Turn the bird upside down to reveal the back. So you find the backbone. As you can see, I'm stretching the skin with my left hand. Here, you cut along the backbone of the chicken all the way down. As you can see, the chicken has been released on either side of the spine. Now, we make 2 more incisions here. You find the left shoulder and you wiggle until you're certain where the joint is. You make 1 incision, you jam your knife in to make sure you have dislocated the shoulder on one side. We go to the other side and we do exactly the same. Once that is finished, we start to peel, 1 wing at a time. The flesh will follow you all the way down, and I stop once I've reached the oyster. Same on the other side. As you can see, the breasts, they're already coming off. And here you have the 2 chicken tenderloins, which we'll deal with later. All you need to do is with 2 fingers, you grab onto the chicken breast and you pull. Perfect. Now, your bird is almost fully undressed. What we do now is we take the 2 oysters. For me, the tastiest part of the chicken. You want to dislocate the thigh from the carcass. You can use brute force to break, but what I like to do is you push the leg upwards towards the neck, then you break. Same with this side, until you hear the pop. Once you've heard the pop here, you simply follow the oyster with your paring knife. Once the oyster is out, and you make sure the bone is fully dislocated, we go to the other side. Butchering, with all the time in the world, is just a game of patience. So be patient. You can see, chicken legs dislocated. Pull on the other side. You literally have the whole bird here, undressed. Everything's out. Now, what do we have here? We have the breast, we have the wings, and we have the legs. All in one piece with 5 incisions. Since today we're going to flatten the whole thing and cook it under a pizza stone, we're going to bone out the rest. So, for the wings, simply cut through. Again, wiggle, 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 cut through the joint. This goes straight into the stock pot for later. To remove the drum, you simply cut all around it. You grab the bone and you simply push down on the board. And you have the drum. The first time I watched Jacques Pépin did this, I just thought it was so much fun. I kept wanting excuses to make this recipe. Now, to remove the thigh, cut either side of the thigh bone. Then we cut either side of the leg. And you open up the leg, go under. Simply come out on the other side. Beautiful. And you simply follow the joint. And that's it, stock pot. Now we go to the other side, we do exactly the same. Now, remember the tenderloins I mentioned. These, you want to take them off. They are the fillet steak equivalent to your bird. And to do so, you simply need to run your thumb. You don't need to cut. One tenderloin, and here we have one very clean carcass for the stock later. Once again, with the tenderloin, you'll see one sinew. You grab a paper towel, press on the sinew, and you just scrape your knife. For this recipe, when the chicken fries in its own fat, the skin will start to shrink, and these empty pockets would trap in steam, making these two parts the only parts without crispy skin. So of course, what simpler solution but to add the tenderloins here. Now you have one beautiful flat surface, ready for the oven. For anyone who's made a pizza, you would have noticed that the pizza cooks from outside in, thus the crust. In this instance, we're surrounding the most delicate part of the chicken, the breast, with drums, with thighs, with chicken legs, with oysters. These parts are more resilient and could take on more heat, so that when the chicken comes out, it will pretty much be evenly cooked. So now, let's move this onto the oven tray. Here we have the actual oven tray. By the way, I've done this a gazillion times to know that a 2-kilo chicken would fit a European oven tray to perfection. If you have an American oven, you even have extra leg room. So, to the tray, high smoke point oil, vegetable oil, and be a bit generous with the oil because we're going to drain them off. We season the bird extremely generously with salt. If you want to be precise, I like to do 0.6% to the chicken's body weight before deboning. And yes, it's okay to season just on one side because this is a very, very thin layer now. And you can throw in whatever spices you fancy. For me, I want to taste the chicken. Now, for the pizza stone, we need to decorate it a bit with some origami. We grab some tin foil and you just wrap it so it doesn't stick to the chicken. This is an oven pizza stone, and by definition, they would fit your oven tray. What we do is we oil the foil. This whole thing now goes on top of the chicken. You want to make sure there are channels for the steam to escape. Otherwise, you're just making steamed chicken at extremely high heat. The reason why we want a pizza stone is not because we want a really, really flat chicken. It is A, to maximize the surface area of the skin that is in contact with what would become a very, very, very hot oven tray. This will very quickly render the fat out of the chicken skin and fry the skin in mostly its own fat. B, the stone is there to protect the flesh side from cooking. So it cooks with very gentle heat on top, but very rapid heat at the bottom, making the skin crispy and the flesh tender and juicy. We've maxed out the oven to 250 Celsius. If you have a bottom-only heating option, great. If not, most conventional ovens would have a top and down heating function. Use that. Just make sure you're not using the grill on top, because that would not heat up the chicken. Another thing to bear in mind is that we're going to put the tray all the way at the bottom of the oven, not the lowest rack, the actual bottom with contact. And this now goes in first for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, we're going to drain off the excess fat and moisture from the tray to let the chicken crisp up even more. But be very careful now, because everything is really hot and it's going to smoke a bit, of course. As you can hear, the chicken is basically frying its own skin in its own fat. Now, optional step, if you want to collect the chicken juices later to make a sauce, I would highly, highly recommend you put your bowl inside the sink and you drain off your chicken fat that way so that the hot oil wouldn't splash everywhere and burn yourself. Again, this is very hot, so be very careful. You grab and you make sure you're holding on to the stone and you drain. Once that's done, This goes back to the oven for another 10 minutes. Now, with T-minus 5 minutes to Operation Crispy Skin, we need to prepare a few things, because once the chicken comes out, you need to act fast. So first off, 2 good pairs of tongs, the best you could find, to lift the chicken out so that the skin does not soak in any excess moisture. An emergency large spatula, the largest you have in your house, in case the chicken skin sticks to the bottom. You need to rescue the skin from the steam. Moisture, moisture, moisture is the #1 enemy to crispy skin. To deal with the pizza stone, which is going to be really hot, you need to set up a surface that is heat resistant. In this case, I have some silicone coasters. This is where we'll be putting the pizza stone later. And you need another set of coasters for the actual tray when the chicken comes out. Station 1. We separate the stone from the foil. Try to grab the stone and only the stone, nothing else. Now, we check if anything is sticking. In this case, no. We use our tongs. We grab, once again, the wings, just like earlier. You pull and you flip. And voila, look at this beauty. And since we cooked it under the pizza stone, what better way to slice it than just like a pizza? And there you have it. This is chicken under a pizza stone, one of my favorite ways to cook chicken. I really hope you enjoy.